You don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic as I tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing, I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform, before, during, and after Desert Storm, always perform above the norm, anywhere and everywhere on the planet. They need to follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot lead if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. Remove the clatter, it's just a matter of our making up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors protect you to do what you must to rise. Please do your part. Please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and serious secondary scholars. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now, here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. This is Wave Your Grades. We have a special guest, and we were not sure as to whether or not she can hear us, and I would like to find out from Willetta McGee. Do you hear me now? And
I can hear you now.
oh,
I
okay.
could see you either praying or talking or something, and your lips were moving, and I couldn't hear you. Maybe you weren't on yet.
Oh, okay. As a matter of fact, I hear you but faintly. DeQuay Wilson is our producer engineer. I was going to ask if I need my headphones. So if I could, all right. Now, as a matter of fact, I do hear the microphone very well. Once again, back to our very special guest. Are you hearing me fine now?
Yes.
Okay, now we are on Wave Your Grades. This program is dedicated to those who serve and those who have served, and we ask that American students strive for excellence in honor of our troops. We made a determination that today's program would be a very special program because something very special is about to happen on Tuesday, and I am privileged and I am honored to have a member of Friendship Baptist Church come on to discuss what is coming up and what has been for that matter. But Willetta McGee, I do not want to be too formal in our introduction because we are too close, and this is like introducing a sister whose husband is a brother. So let me just say to my dear sister, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome, and you will be joined by some young people who generally join us on first Saturdays of the month. This is a first Saturday, and they are presented to us by attorney Valencia Broadus. And I always ask that Valencia introduce us to her very special guests. And we will then introduce this very, very special program. It's kind of interesting because one of the presidential candidates is a young lady whose name is Kamala Harris, and I'm thinking, Willetta, that the pink and green you adorn this afternoon might be a coincidence, but we will get into that in just a little while. First, Attorney Valencia Broadus, are you with us?
Miss Broadus will not be with us just yet. She'll be joining in about 10 minutes. But I am Miss Paris Holly. Today we have me and also Miss Rihanna. We should have a couple other guests joining us shortly.
Well, as a matter of fact, interestingly enough, coming into the studio right now is Heaven Hart, also one of the young people who is an alumnus at this point where the Smart Club is concerned, so she will be joining us as well. Paris, let me open the program by suggesting that at my ripe young age of 82 years, I have said, and I insist, that this is the most important election I have experienced. Many young people have heard that before. I am saying it in earnest. This really is. And in as much as Paris Holly, our very special guest this afternoon, Willetta McGee, has a background not only in a formal sense, being able to tutor those who need some instruction as to formal aspects of voting and participating in an election, but I would like for her to get us started by giving some background as far as childhood and parents who help to orient them towards the importance of participation. So I won't mess it up. I will ask Willetta McGee to introduce in the way that she would that background.
So thank you. I'm turning off my phone. First of all, thank you for having me. And I love seeing some young faces. Now I see some black screens. So come on, people, show your faces.
We do have three more. We have Mr. Kayla, Mr. TJ, and Mr. Xavier who have joined us. You guys have the opportunity, please cut on your camera so then everybody can see your wonderful faces.
Wonderful. And I'm wondering, Carl gave me a quick introduction to this group, and I liken it to young people who are open to, passionate, and ready to engage. So if that's in whatever capacity. And so I do know that this is a topic talking about elections and about the upcoming election and some specifics about voting. But between, I think, Carl, you said high school to college, do age groups, what's the range of students on this call?
Paris?
So today we have middle school through high school. We have middle school through high school today. And then we also have college students. I think we have one college student who will join us, and then we have our alumni, Miss Heaven, who is here. And
wonderful. A great range. Well, so first I will quickly talk about, because one of the things I want to make sure people know when you talk about elections, electioneering, which is different from working for the election, and those topics, I don't want anyone to think you have to have special qualifications to do this. This is the one thing that I want to make sure that comes out to everyone. I am a veteran of corporate America. I had 30 plus years working in, I tell my friends I only work for H companies in marketing, Hallmark, H&R Block, HNTV, and I worked in marketing and relations for that amount of time. in varying capacities. From a writer, my expertise is copywriting, and I've written a book, and I've actually done speaking and whatnot, but it's been in marketing communications. But that did not prepare me for, and nor was it a qualification for working with and making sure that our elections run smoothly. I mentioned to Carl that my mother was one of the most avid members of Freedom Incorporated back many, many, many years ago. And she would take us, because I'm one of 15 children, 7 older, 7 younger, and out of necessity, I think more so than advocacy, my mother didn't have a babysitter for all those kids. So whenever she went door knocking, or whether she was at an event, about 5 or 6 of us were usually with her, depending on what age group you were in. Wow. And she made it fun for us. Of course, as a kid, you're 8, 9 years old, and you're putting flyers on people's doors, and you're saying vote for X candidate in Kansas City and whatnot. You don't really know what it means, but she sort of set it up as competition. You take this side of the street and you take that side of the street, and let's see who can get back first, and those kind of things. I believe, again, not knowing what it meant when she said it was our responsibility. All I knew was Mama said we had to do it, so we did it. And it was fun for us. I say that because I'm not sure what those avenues are for young people today, but that process started me young, and my sisters young, and at least my cousins even. We all have in some capacity worked in electioneering. So what I do now is, I retired several years ago. I started out as an election. There are many jobs if you want to work an election. That process was electioneering. That was me working for Black candidates because my mother was an advocate for them. She was close friends with a lot of the leaders in the city. And so that's what I was doing, first being an advocate for a candidate, and then realizing that, frankly, as the elections things started to get a little hairy, back around when Obama became to play and people started to play games, as far as I was concerned, I was old enough to recognize it. I started to say I needed to be on the inside. So I started out as an election judge, which basically you're the person who hands out the ballots. Then there's the poll pad judge is the person who checks people in. That was a few years ago. And then this last year was my first year. So I'm a supervisor at the precinct that's going to be at Ingalls Elementary School at Hickman Mills. So that's my background in it. The only requirement to work in an election is you have to be a registered voter in good standing, and you cannot have any family members or anyone else who is on the ballot on any election that you're working for. So everybody has an opportunity. And as I said, no matter what age you are, young people, you can start now. There are organizations in Kansas City that do a lot around election preparation and learning. Just because you're not old enough to vote doesn't mean you're not old enough to make an impact. I'm also, in addition to being passionate about this, I'm a passionate football fan. I was manager before everybody loved the Chiefs, and they were 2-14. I was traveling for games and they couldn't play, and I didn't care, but I was still a fan because I'm a graduate of Lincoln High School, by the way, and I was always passionate about sports. There's an ad that the NFL has right now called the Know It All. The idea is he's a 14-year-old and he's a kid and he's a teenager, but he's a football know-it-all, and everybody turns to him. You can become an election know-it-all for yourself and for your family. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can learn about it. You can teach about it. You can be the resource for your family right now. That's my plug for working elections.
Outstanding. As a matter of fact, that is an analogy to which I will speak later. What I would like now is to turn over to Paris an opportunity for an introduction to the conversation in this way, where our young people are concerned. I think that there might be as wide a range of interest in the election as there is a wide range of age. Paris, where do you feel that the young people fit where this year's election is concerned?
Where this year's election is concerned, I fit the young people fit a little bit of everywhere. Because for our high school students who have already turned 18, you get to vote this year. For our students who are in middle school entering high school, by the time you graduate, you'll be able to vote. But you are able to understand and really get a greater understanding of the politics, where the Democratic versus the Republican Party, what types of things we're actually fighting for, not only just for this election, but then also getting them in tune to know that we have elections for our state. So just getting them more acclimated to what's happening, what we're voting for, the different amendments, because they could actually be able to talk to their parents when it comes to those amendments. And you're welcome. Sorry, I'm at a football game.
Oh, okay.
So
Speaking of football.
yeah, we're playing all around here. But making sure that they know the different amendments and what they're really fighting for, because at the end of the day, these amendments affect them. So being able to have those conversations with their parents to be like, okay, so what is Amendment 1 or Amendment 2? We see it all over the commercials. Well, I'm voting no for this or yes for this. How does this really affect me? And having that dialogue, because you can have dialogue with kids, and kids do understand that. Kids do know the right from wrong, even as far as elementary school. So they can get into that conversation. You don't have to give it to them in such big words where they don't understand. But you can say, hey, we're voting for if you should be able to run across the street with your shoe untied. Do you think that would be safe? Yes or no? Give it to them simple, and then let them build and explain from their knowledge. And if it's more important than that, then give them that details behind it. So then they could really fight and say, well, I don't believe in this, because their beliefs are important as well. So that's what they have to stand on. Understanding they have to have a ground to stand on. They have to have their morals and things like that. It's not just about what the other person wants.
Well, let me ask that each of the young people introduce themselves, and the introduction can range from hello, my name is, to an opinion, concern, participation, where the election is concerned, however brief or lengthy you would like to introduce yourself. Please take advantage, and I am going to exercise privilege in as much as our studios are at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, and we have someone in studio with us already, representative of those who are younger. Heaven Heart, if you will just come to the microphone and help our young people to understand how they might introduce themselves. Willetta McGee, here is Heaven Heart.
Hello, everyone. This is such an exciting topic. I'm just blessed to be able to be a part of the conversation. But yes, as KUAW mentioned, my name is Heaven Hart. I have been, working with KUAW. Miss Valencia brought us for well over 10 years now. Yes. I started when I was in middle school, so I'm very nostalgic there. But I am still in school. I go to school for marketing and communications at Drury University. Have about 5 classes left, so trying to get those out the way. But outside of that, just volunteering more. I want to volunteer more. Also starting a podcast of my own, wanting to do that. But I would say just introduce yourself, say what you're interested in, what are your hobbies, and what grade are you in school. And maybe how long you've been in the career club. How long have you known Miss B for? Because she's amazing. There she is, speaking of her. There she is. But yeah, that's all I have for you. Heaven Heart, thank you.
Thank you so very, very much. Who will be next?
Well, right before, there we go.
Thank you for being with Miss B.
I can hear you, but it's distorted.
My name is
Miss Rihanna, you have a lot of feedback in your background right now.
I know, I'm so sorry. I'm at choir rehearsal, so I'm so sorry. I'm also trying to be in the my name is Rihanna Stewart. I'm 12th grade. It's my last year of school, and I want to be a pediatrician. I don't remember how long I've been with Miss B, but I do know I started with her last year, so that I'm not.
Thank you, Rihanna. And by the way, Willetta McGee, you heard Heaven Hart mention Miss B, and you just heard Rihanna mention Miss B. That would be Valencia Broadus, attorney Valencia Broadus. And please, Valencia, why don't you help us engage the young people who have not yet been introduced, but let me go to you first.
And Miss Valencia,
Well,
can you introduce your organization too? I heard little bits and pieces of it, but I'm not exactly sure what it is.
oh,
Hi.
that's okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy day for Kansas City. Okay. My name is Valencia Broadus. We are the Smart Career Club, and we help to produce students who are motivated to achieve and resist truancy. Not just, we don't want them to only resist being absent from school. We want them to resist being absent from life. And so, therefore, we do all that we can to help them to catch their dreams, whatever they are, and make them grow. We do things like making sure they want to be an engineer or a doctor or whatever it is. We help them to really explore that career. We help them then to attach to individuals who are doing those careers so they can kind of see it, job shadowing, internships, all of that. But then we also help them then to make sure that they're doing what they got to do to really be able to get in position to be in power to make those things happen. So with the academics and all that type of stuff. So from that, we get young people from all around, from churches, from schools, and their parents, help us to just know what they want. And then they partner with us and people like Mr. Boyd so that we can get our young people not just, again, catching the dreams, but let's tell the whole world what we want to be. Because the more that the whole world knows what you want, they'll help you to be accountable. They're going to keep asking you, what you want to be again? What you want to do again? Are you doing that?
Yes.
But we just try to, so that's in a nutshell. But we do lots of activities all year long, radio shows, essay contests. We volunteer like we did this morning. Whatever we can do to help them, things that we went through to be where we are, we just try to make sure that we're getting them exposure to all that stuff that will help them to not only be academically prepared, but socially prepared, behaviorally prepared, all that. Anyway, so I can talk forever, so I'm going to stop right there. So,
Thank you.
And who will the next young person be? To introduce yourself, give us a little background.
Right. Well, if you, let me help you a little bit. I first want to, Mr. I'm going to say who I see on here, and there are others that may not, because I saw 8. So I know that, because we have a couple of new people. So I just want to make sure that got a couple of new folks. We have Jakila and TJ, and there's our new high schoolers from De La Salle. They're in my health professions club, and they want to be different careers and stuff. So they'll tell you about that. But we've got another good group. We got a couple more guys this time, Mr. Boyd.
All right,
So
that's
we saw
outstanding.
Mr. Xavier and TJ there. So if you guys will, if it's your first time, it's okay. Remember, you're with friends and family.
Yes.
Just say anything you want to about yourself. Let the world know who you are and how great you're trying to be. All right, Mr. Xavier, you go, and I'm gonna turn my thing off so that I won't interrupt. Okay. Nice to meet you, Miss McGee. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Xavier Sidney. I'm a 9th grader. I go to Summit North, and I want to be an electrical engineer.
Excellent. Let's go to TJ.
Hello, my name is TJ. I go to De La Salle. I want to be an obstetrician.
All right. And please, Jakayla, is that Jakayla? Please pronounce it correctly for us and introduce yourself.
My name is Jakayla Lenore. I go to De La Salle. I'm a junior, and I want to be a caseworker or therapist.
Oh, okay, a caseworker or a therapist.
Mhm.
Who have we missed? That's a good representation.
Has Miss Paris gone? She's one
Yes.
of, and I came in late, so I apologize. If Miss Paris hasn't talked a little bit about herself, Miss Paris, please, you're one of our amazing mentors for our young leaders and been with us for a long time as well. So please share if you haven't already.
I actually did not talk about myself. I just introduced our student. But I've been with SMART for quite a few years now. I'm an engineer by trade, and I just enjoy helping people, and I kind of just do stuff and show up and be cool sometimes. Yay!
And
You're amazing. And
absolutely.
I want to just share before I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So before she gets off, and Miss Pierce, she's one of our ACT coaches because, as we all know, our kids, they can be whatever they want to be. But the way that our system is, meaning the game that's played, so to speak, is they have to get certain ACT scores to get into certain schools and also to get money. And so we don't shy away from that fact. So we make sure that whatever they want to be, we help make sure that they look at the colleges that they want to get into, the ACT scores and the grades and the community service required, and we plug in all those things in their lives, while they're with us in the club. So Miss Paris and a couple others, they lead our ACT prep, and she's an amazing math coach and ACT stuff like that. We just try to make sure that the program's holistic, so that there's really no excuse. Whatever they want to be, there's no excuse if they really want to work hard at it, because that's working hard is a part of what they got to do too. So.
And
Thank
we
you,
make
Ms.
sure
Pierce.
they get to visit those schools. We do, we meet with them one-on-one, figure out what school they want to go to. Make sure they have their resume pieced together. No, not whammo by football. Make sure they have their resume pieced together. So then, literally, what the school needs, we go through and work with them one by one, like line by line. Okay, what is this? Okay, well, did you take your ACT? What was your score? How do you get here? Who do you need to talk to here? Have you talked to the counselors at that school? Have you built a rapport? Let's make sure we go visit during whichever time if it's feasible. If you want to get into, I think one wanted to be a lawyer. So there was a lawyer program thing that you guys did and that you guys went to. So just so they could see all those different avenues, and that there's really people out here who want to see you do better, and we're here to be along for the journey, even after the college, after the exception into the college, and you get there. So, you still have a family unit. You're not by yourself.
This is absolutely exciting. And I say that not facetiously. We are coming upon the election Tuesday, and I wanted so much for Willetta McGee to be introduced to the young people prior to the election on Tuesday. And in the introductions, Valencia Broadus, Paris Holly, Willetta McGee is finding out that there is great versatility on this panel. And while no doubt about it, Tuesday's election is extremely important, this does not have to be a conversation exclusively designed to deal with that. So Willetta McGee, you may have heard one or two or more than that introductions that interest you in particular. How do you respond to the young people you have just met?
Well, it's encouraging to hear the passion with which they state what they want to be and what they want to do. Because obviously we all know if you've done even a minimum of success, that passion is what's going to carry you when things get rough. And they will get rough. I feel like today we have, the young people today have so many more support systems than we did when we were coming up, because there are so many people who've already sort of kicked down or burst down some of those doors. But rest assured, the barriers have not gone away. So it's not like we could say everyth's solved. It's not going to happen. I also am encouraged by the fact that it sounds like, again, I'm needing more research or that the camaraderie and the sort of the sharing and support among the students is going to be really, really strong when you have a program like this where everybody is pointing in the same direction. So that's been really, really exciting. And I love hearing the young lady who's about to graduate in marketing and communications. Whoop, whoop. That was me a whole bunch of years ago. and understanding what that looks like and where the world today. I've got a few kids that I've worked with since who this group of children, particularly the Gen X group of children, were much more likely, for example, to be entrepreneurs than we were. Our goal was to get into corporate America and get a really solid paying job and to head for the C-suite. And to be honest, God bless me, I actually was able to do that, but not everybody was. And so I now am encouraged by the fact that folks are going into some of these careers where you were really, really targeting major corporations and actually taking bold steps and being interested in doing things on their own. I had to wait until I retired to write a book and to work with boards and really get into using my communication skills to help. Specifically what I focus on is in education, helping out. I was one of the founders of the Education Foundation, Kansas City Public Schools many years ago. All these huge districts had education foundations. These are the community organizations that help fund things at the district. Kansas City School District is one of the largest districts in the area. They did not. And it was because of all the politics and whatnot. So I'm just saying these are things you might want to do in communications. And that was what piqued my interest. You said what interests me, Carl, was hearing some young people interested in communications and with the opportunity that these kids can take those skills back to the community and add value probably a lot sooner than those of my generation could. And that's exciting.
Thank you so much. Let me say to you, Willetta McGee, as we go to our mid-show break, that when we come back, one of the things I would be interested in is if you are available for presentations, even partnerships.
Yeah, he did that.
So
yeah, he put me on.
But I want to find out. I want to find out the title of your book and what that's about. There are a number of things that the young people can find out. But let us first go to our mid-program break with DeQuay Wilson.
Reminding our 7th through 12th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization. Yes, we do say organization on purpose, with purpose. Stoots for Boots. Your essay title will be Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school who can be absolutely anyone, custodian, coach, teacher, bus driver, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Wave Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send entry or inquiry to stootsforboots@gmail.com. That is STOOTS FORBOOTS, stootsforboots@gmail.com. And back over to our host, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much. Back to Wave Your Grades. And Valencia Broadus would have us to know and understand that we can invite the young people to come into the conversation, not necessarily in a formal way. So please don't feel that you are being disruptive or rude by making your comments. We want to involve you in this conversation. So in the introduction to that, let me ask Willetta McGee the title of your book, but also you might be asked to make presentations and contact information we can use.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think, Carl, you have my contact information. I will caveat this to say that I'm on several boards and I do a lot of project work. So I may or not be available, but I'm open to the conversation. Secondarily, I mentioned the book because there was a potential writer on here, which I thought was important. But in the context of what you're asking, Carl, I think there should be a little bit of background because the book is probably not what you would expect. Oh. I said that one of the things that by the way, I put the name of the book and the website in the chat, as well as the project that I'm working on and the website for that project in the chat that I'm going to be talking about. So anybody wants more information about what I'm saying, the web addresses are in the chat. One of the things I said, I'm passionate about education and particularly urban education and helping students in the urban core really succeed. One of the challenges, and it hit my family personally, is on the topic of addiction. My youngest sister was addicted to crack cocaine and then was ultimately murdered by a drug dealer. Wow. And my motivation for that has sort of guided what I do. Like I said, I was on the board for helping found the Education Foundation for Kansas City Public Schools. I was a board member for 9 years for KCPBS, the Channel 19 television station, on their education committee, because I am convinced that education and being really, really rooted in strong support systems in education is what will keep these kids out of trouble. She had 4 children that were left behind. My other sister ended up adopting them. But what it said to me was, there were no resources for people who were dealing with the kinds of things she was dealing with, and I wanted to make sure that there was something to happen for her kids. The Sin Sick Soul is the book that I wrote. It's a novella. It's inspired by her story, and the basic point of the book is, I speak in very raw terms about the crack cocaine epidemic that was ravaging Kansas City back in the mid-90s, and how certain people got caught up in that. It's a fiction by purpose, because and I won't tell you which parts of the book are literally true, because many are, but it's a raw story about how she went from being a loving wife and mother and a very high performing student to succumbing to the drug, and ultimately becoming the reason that her life was ended. That's the book I wrote. I did it. It was a lot of therapy for me more than anything.
Wow.
Needing to get that story out. I started journaling about 10 years before she died, and we actually had conversations about it, and I teased her. You'll see in my forward, I tell everybody this. I told her I'd write a book, but nobody would believe it. Your story is crazy. And we joked. My sister joked about everything. She turned everything into a joke. And she said, what if you write a book and it's a tell-all, we're going to be on Oprah and I'm going to sue you and Mama will be really, really proud of us. And we would just joke like that all the time. And so I started journaling thinking I was going to write a book. And then when she was murdered, it took me 10 more years before I could pick it up again. Because you don't think it's really going to happen. So that experience, writing the book, is what has now brought me to where I am today. And I want these students to know, and also Ms. Valencia, that one project I'm working on right now, and we finally got state approval to bring a recovery high school to Kansas City. And the organization is called Be Free Kansas City. It's about helping kids who are in recovery not go back to the school within which they got on drugs in the first place. So if a student is in treatment and then they come out of treatment, we know between 80 and 90% of them, if you send them back to their social environment, more than likely they're going to relapse. So there's like 45 recovery high schools around the country in 21 different states, and the models are exciting and exceptional of the success rates of students who go not back to their home school, but go to a recovery high school and then either stay in that school for 1 year if they're good, if that works for them, or they can stay the entire until graduation, and how successful those students are. So that's the project I'm working on now. It started with someone knowing about the book and reading that I had 4 nieces and nephews who were left behind after their mother was murdered, and then 2 of them ended up getting on drugs and they didn't have programs and all those kinds of things. And I talked about that. So that's how and so my passion project right now is about the recovery high school and trying to bring something to these kids. And we're making we just had a big presentation with the Department of Secondary Education out of Jeff City on Tuesday. All the superintendents in the metro area were invited, and we're about to start talking about locations and who's going to run the school and all those sort of things. We have funds, the opioid settlement fund, and so we've got the money to do it, and it's pretty exciting.
Wow. Well, let me say to you in no uncertain terms that I offer a deep apology and a profound appreciation. And the deep apology is making preparation for a program that would be talking about the upcoming election, and a profound appreciation not just for your candor, but for your willingness to share when the preparation for the program had nothing to do with your sharing so much that is deeply a part of who you are. So I cannot thank you enough. We can plan for, if you would like a program that is devoted to that subject area. I certainly want to get back to the election, but I'm also sure that there are reactions to what you said. So let us please carry on the conversation, just thanking you over and over and over again for being the person you are and the willingness to share. Attorney Broadus, responses,
Yes,
please.
absolutely. I am. I mean, I know everyone. Condolences. I mean, there's only we don't know what to say about what your family have gone through. There,
Mm.
I am so. I'm going to use the word happy only because that's what I'm thinking in my head in regards to the Recovery High School. I'm a peer recovery specialist, and I focus of my 80% of my community time is spent on young people and developing them. And I do it for violence prevention and also for drug prevention because comes a point where we don't intervene now with the prevention side, then we have to have a place for them to go, when things happen. And that's been hard. We can pull the kids out of the situations, but then they go back to the same environments, schools or whatever. And so I'm just like, okay.
And
I don't know, but I can only imagine the talking about voting and all that stuff, and we can still even get to that with this topic. You think about before the opioid crisis, before it touched everybody,
Right.
meaning black
everybody. Yeah, no one cared about it until it touched everybody. No one cared about it until it touched everybody. Yes.
Absolutely. And then from there, we were able to get people, federally and everywhere else to vote on things because, like, wait, this could happen to me. So I won't even go into all that. I would love for you to talk more about those types of things. But the fact that we have that here in this super duper conservative state, where everyone wants to act like it's not an issue, but it is. And so I'm happy and whatever I and our young people can do to help us. We don't know what it is, what we can do to help or anything, please, let us know because we try hard in our health professions group to make sure that our young people, community health workers, and that's a lot of what I teach at the college, and then for the high school health professions, is all of these things are social determinants of health that either make our communities rich or poor. And so, whatever and that's one of those pieces, mental health and addictions and all of that. But our young people, the more that they can know about them, so they can talk about it.
Yes.
Well, I will tell you, Carl, you took me down a path. I not to derail
about it. Be what whatever. Please go ahead.
We will. I just wanted to jump in and say I don't want to derail the
conversation. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
We're talking about the election, but if you ask me about the book, it's automatically going to tell you how I got to where I am. So forgive me for going on a tangent, but I just think this is good.
This is good.
Okay.
And I'll tell you
why. Want to know about the election?
And our young leaders, if you have thoughts or questions,
yes.
Please, I want you to ask or, you can put it
in the chat.
Our young leaders is helping them to have a voice of whatever the adults are talking about, if it's a conversation that they should be in. Because again, we also still try to make sure we're helping young people stay in young people's place. I mean, there's all of that because that's life,
Well,
but some of these conversations, go ahead, please.
Attorney Broadus was not with Smart Club when the conversation on elections was broached, when Heaven Hart was in the studio, as she works with DeQuay Wilson and with Louis George Walker, and had profound offerings where the election is concerned. And what I was going to do to start the round of responses from the young people was to simply ask Heaven to repeat, as it were, something we did on another program, why she feels that the election is important, and if it ties into naturally some of what we're talking about already, that's good too. And then we will ask, and I'll get ready, please, Xavier and TJ, Jakila and Rihanna. We're going to ask you whether or not this election is important to you, even at your age, but we're going to start with Heaven Hart.
Yes. Last Saturday was a very good conversation. I did voice that I was a bit on the fence about voting, participating, just because I didn't want to rush to the polls and cast a vote, and I didn't really know what I was, I didn't want to do it if it was no purpose behind it, if I didn't really truly understand the impact I was making when submitting that vote. And what I mean by that is like doing the research behind the candidates. I was expressing to them, it's hard to know like if they're actually going to do what they are, saying they're going to do once they're elected and stuff. So it's just kind of, I would love some help.
Mm-hmm.
I would love some help. How do you guys, like, when you do research on these candidates and these things that they're advocating for and these laws that they're saying, what are some things that you, that matter most to you when, choosing which candidate to cast a vote for?
Okay.
Are you waiting for one? You want me to answer, Carl?
Anyone, yes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, kudos to you for actually voicing that, because I will tell you, I know that that's a key thought among many, many young people. And I will paraphrase, if you'll allow me. Why bother is basically what the message is, but for a lot of young people, because they don't necessarily see the benefit of what they're doing, and they don't see immediate impact, and it takes work to prepare. One of the first things that I say to everyone around this is you've got to prepare. Now, the short answer to your question, and to anyone who's 18 plus or here, praying that you're already registered, because Missouri, you can't do same day registration. But if you're already registered, and some students, you just register automatically when you turn 18 and you may or may not vote. Here's the thing I will tell you. If you don't know and you're not sure, I always say, first, vote your conscience. You don't need to vote the way anyone tells you to vote. But there are resources within our community that give you a guide. And the first one, and I'll tell you, I even used it this year because there's a lot on that ballot. The Freedom Incorporated organization, and you can simply Google them. They have a voter guide, and you can print it off online. I send it to all of my young people. I text it to them, and you can you can print that voter's guide, and it goes race by race and tells you, at least from Freedom Incorporated standpoint, what their point of view is on each one of them. And frankly, because there's so much on there, not just the amendments and the candidates, you've got judges to vote for. There's all kind. You can simply go down the list and check the box. It takes you all of 5 minutes if you have the voter guide. Now, what I recommend, so that's a baseline step. If there's something on there that you want more information about, then you start with that voter's guide, and then you go research it for yourself. And because what you're going to get news, you're going to get ads that tell you it's the absolute worst thing you should ever vote for, and you should vote no. And then you'll hear another ad that tells you it's the absolute best thing in the world, and you should vote yes. And what I'm saying to you is, if you don't have a strong opinion or you don't know where to start with the voter's guide. Then once you download it and have it in front of you, take 5 minutes, go on your phone and say, this doesn't sound right to me. Let me Google that, and read from multiple sources, and then make up your mind. But I think the hardest thing, I was so excited, and Carl, I'll quickly answer this. I was at the primary, and I saw these 4 young men come in, young black men, pants sagging, looked like they just woke up in the morning, come to the polls, and they were coming to vote. And every one of them was registered. And I was just like, feeling so proud. And they're like, no, we came to vote in the primary. We know we need to vote. The problem was they had no preparation. They didn't know what to vote for. They knew what they didn't want as far as the candidate on the top of the ticket. But all the other things were like, well, tell me, what should I do here? I don't know this. Well, in the voting booth, I can't tell you anything, because I'm an election employee, and I can give no one information except if you want background. But here as Willetta, I can tell you where to find information that might align with your views. So I say that to young people or have hearing everything about how important this election is and how consequential it is. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't know where you're going, you feel intimidated and then you just don't come out. This election needs every vote, whichever way you choose to vote, because people need to hear from you. And so I would just say these guys were so excited to come and vote, and then they realized they could have been dejected. And I said, no, next time before you come for the general, make sure you go download a voter's guide, go print it out, sample ballot, voter's guide, take you 10 minutes to go through and read it. And then you'll be prepared and feel more confident when you come into the voting booth.
As the conversation continues, let me say to the young people that while you are below voting age, the conversation does indeed involve you, impact you, make a difference. I'm just curious, at your age, what you are thinking about this year's election, if you are thinking about it at all. Now remember, Heaven Hart set the table for us. She was very honest about how she felt. So don't think that you are going to give a right or wrong answer. Just give an honest answer. And again, Xavier, let's start with you. Xavier is a particularly excellent young person who is doing fantastic work in and out of class. But Xavier, what about this year's election? Are you thinking about it at all? Now, it may very well be, this is a Saturday afternoon, that we are talking to young people who indeed are playing football or choir rehearsal at the same time, so he may not be near his microphone. Let's go to TJ. TJ, what about election 2024?
What's your question?
Are you thinking at all about this year's election? And if you are, what are you thinking about it?
I haven't gave too much thought on it, but I have heard people around me that's been talking about it. They've been anxious on who's getting in office, mainly because both parties are talking about what they're going to do when they get in office, and both ways they impact us in a strong way. So, like I said, I haven't gave too much thought on it, but I have heard people around me, which is making me now give thought on it. Like, maybe I should look into this. But,
wow.
Yeah.
How old are you?
17. One more year.
Exactly. Well,
yeah. What'd you say?
No, I just wanted to find out if our special guest had any response.
No, no response. I'm encouraged to hear that you are at least noticed it. I know that the media is bombarding people with messages this year. I would just encourage you, TJ, if you're interested in any of the issues, you can. What I say, you can be the know-it-all for your family. You don't have to vote. You just have to know, and you can take specific. I have had specific issues like one. There are certain people who may vote based on one thing, one issue. And if there's an issue that matters to you, then you can actually be the source for your family, whether you're voting or not, a voting age or not.
Right. I agree.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Jakila.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
Do you have any thoughts about this year's election coming up next Tuesday?
Yes, I'm actually going to go vote with my grandma tomorrow, if she is. If not tomorrow, Tuesday with my mom.
Outstanding.
Are you prepared? Do you have a plan? Have you seen the voter's guide that I just mentioned, or do you have because I would say get it for your mom too and your grandma.
No, I have not seen it.
So my suggestion to you is to go online, go to Freedom Inc., Freedom Incorporated, Kansas City, and it's a one-page document you can download, and it goes down the list of all of the different issues, and you can read about them and take you 5 minutes, each one of you, and you'll be ready to vote. Because it's a lot on that ballot. Trust me, when you walk in there, you're going to be like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff on here. So be prepared. That's all I would suggest.
Thank you. And wow. It is already Gee, 1:55 already.
It's already time. What I would just like to share a thought as well with our young leaders, because one of the things that Miss Willetta, you said earlier was to vote your conscience. And
Mhm.
so the thing that I urge all of us, old, young, everybody, to do is to um, this is a great time to think about what do we believe in? I mean, meaning whatever it is, whether education, economics, all those things, because then, as we do in class, you guys, that way, when we talk about, economics or music or, whatever it is, we can always attach, something happening in law and legislation that somebody's making a decision about. And kind of, Ms. Willetta said, kind of, learning a little more about like what do I like, or what do the people around me like or dislike, and then um, we can really then look at the issues more that are on the ballot and say, well, this matches what you do and stuff like that. But I want to say, when you think about voting your conscience, us sharing what we mean by that, it's more what are your values,
What are your values?
stuff like that.
Exactly. What do you believe in? What resonates to you? And I'm telling you, sometimes the language is intimidating, but the laws that we vote for and against, the amendments, they are going to affect you longer than they affect us. I just
They
want
are.
you guys to realize that. So you making an impact on us and your families. It's going to make a difference.
And I make this promise: I'm going to pull that ballot and I'm going to send it to all of you young people, because I use that as well. And so, and have since for my whole 27 years here.
It's so difficult. I mean, again, I work in it, and I actually used it because I was like, there's just too much. There's a lot on here for me, even a person who's well versed in it. It's a lot. There's a lot, and a lot of people just get intimidated and go, "Ugh," and walk away. That makes it so.
And they say, why bother? Right? Like,
because they don't believe
that. I love you. So, yeah, you're good. You're good. This is good. This is good.
I don't know if I
good.
can.
Is that the book?
Yes, it is.
I see.
What
I see
book
something
is that?
in
I
his
can't
hand.
see it. Freedom Forward. We're not, well, that one. Who's that, Carl? Tell me about it.
And that is indeed Freedom Incorporated. And it is a guide particularly for Tuesday's election. But let me tell you what's so important about the guidance Willetta McGee is giving us today. She is talking specifically about what is happening Tuesday, but she is including, in general, the history of Freedom Incorporated and what they have engaged, her mother included. So if you will look up Freedom Incorporated, not only will you get information concerning Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, but you will get historical reflections and projections for the future. I am so sorry that we have come to the end of the program already, and would appreciate for our very special guest in 30 seconds or so to sum up today's visit. Don't be surprised if we ask you to return, have closing remarks, and then I'll have my own. But Willetta McGee, thank you very, very much. Anything you'd like to say?
I will recap what I said before. Prepare when it comes to voting, and because I really do want to focus on this election, because I do think it matters. And what we say to you, take this back to your families. Prepare. Make sure you know where to vote. You can go to iwillvote.com, or if you're in Jackson County, KCEB, that's Kansas City Election Board. You find where to vote. You can see a sample ballot there. You also don't let, what's the song, Mr. Boyd? Don't let nobody turn you around. Make sure you know about the IDs, and if an ID is expired, what you need to do, and make sure you stay, and then be a know-it-all. Don't be afraid to learn,
Amen.
and share.
Thank you so very, very much, Attorney Valencia Broadus.
I'm excited to learn more about the Recovery High School.
Okay. Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So
I'm all about that.
Later,
I'm all about
get your
that.
info.
All right.
I get your info, and I want to. Yes, amen. Yep, that's all I got.
To all of our guests,
and it's nice to meet you.
We thank you and apologize that we have to close so quickly, but that has been a wonderful hour. Here's DeQuay Wilson.
I want to thank our guests and our listeners for joining us on your Stoots for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We do come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now, our host, Carl Boyd, will close with either Carl's commentary on academic patriotism or his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
I'll do the commentary, and we might run out of time while I'm talking, but I'll just go ahead and start. I am not a season ticket holder with the Kansas City Chiefs. I love the team, but I cannot afford the prices for seats, parking, and regalia. I marvel at the loyalty of $1,000 seat fans willing to stand in long lines and willing to make sure that we make more noise than opposing team fans. I pray that I can be and persuade others to be as passionate about taking a seat in a voting booth as sports fans are about taking a seat in a stadium. They pay big money to be allowed a seat at the game. I cannot tell you how much our ancestors paid to get me a seat at the table. True football fans will stand in long lines 17 times in a season, hoping they'll get additional opportunities in postseason. It is also true that our forefathers and 5 mothers paid a price significantly greater than the cost of a season ticket to give us the opportunity to determine the outcome of a serious election, free of charge, because they paid the price already. Enjoy the Chiefs game next Monday night, but the Chief win will come Tuesday night if we do our part. My name is Carl Boyd. Wave your grace, gracious God and wonderful Wanda. I'm on my way home.